Hey, this is Carrie from Mad About Animals, and we're continuing our activism series today, with this video being on the Hunt Saboteurs Association. I'm sure most of you will have heard of the HSA before, but for those who haven't, a hunt saboteur, in very basic terms, is someone who actively goes out and tries to prevent huntsmen from killing wildlife. The HSA are most well known for sabotaging fox hunts, but they also do great work in deterring so-called game shoots, mink hunting, badger culls, and so on. Though hunting with hounds was supposedly banned in England and Wales in 2005, and in Scotland a few years previously, the cruel, bloody sport continues, except now it's usually done under the guise of trail or drag hunting. So what is trail hunting, and how do hunters use it to get away with killing foxes still? Well, trail hunting supposedly means that huntsmen have their hounds follow a scent along a predetermined route across the countryside. Hence why there's such widespread scorn and ridicule directed towards those who still go out and protest against things like Boxing Day hunts. Because, on paper, no foxes are chased, injured or killed. Or, if they are, it's accidental, as the hounds just so happen to catch the scent of a live fox along the way. However, countless first-hand accounts, videos and photos have all proven, time and time again, that the murder of these beautiful creatures is almost never an accident. The information is all available for the public to see, but unless they look into it themselves, they're unlikely to find anything to contradict the belief that the hunts of today are little more than theatre. Because, by and large, the law and the media remain on the side of those doing the killing. Whilst we, as vegans, undoubtedly view what the Sabs do as vital, heroic work, the sad fact remains that if they were to openly disarm, destroy, or remove any snares or traps they came across, or release and rescue any live animals that were legally caught in such devices, it would be considered criminal activity. For example, Larsen Traps remain legal here in the UK. Again, for those who don't know, a Larsen Trap is usually a small metal cage where a live, decoy bird, usually a corvid, is kept confined to encourage another bird to come down to it. The visiting bird, unaware of his or her fate, in their attempt to free or comfort the confined bird, will fall through the false door and into the trap itself, where he or she will now also await a gruesome fate at the hands of the gamekeeper. Close to the ground, these birds will be terrorized by predators, and often they're found dead through nothing but sheer neglect or trauma. As for any chicks these birds had depending on them, they too will starve to death. But this, of course, is the point. This is what's deemed population control. If you were to try and free said birds, or destroy the trap itself, you'd be at risk of criminal charges. Believe it or not, there's nothing to stop your neighbours from setting one up in their backyard if they so wished. Fortunately for hunt saboteurs, though, some very elusive creatures, known as pixies, enraged at the harm that humans try to inflict upon their wildlife friends, often take care of such things before any hunt saboteurs arrive on the scene. And, as pixies are obviously not people, there isn't much that can be done to prosecute them. But there's nothing to stop the Sabs from documenting what they find in a pixie's wake. So, if hunt Sabs cannot legally do any of the aforementioned things, then what is it they can do? Well, once hunt saboteurs are tipped off about an assembling hunt, they will get to the location as soon as possible. Once there, more experienced Sabs will usually know the area and have a pretty good idea of where the hunt will be headed. The idea is to have at least one vehicle ahead of the hunt and another following in order to keep the hunt surrounded. A group of Sabs will follow the hunt on foot, trying to keep with the hounds as much as possible. From there, the Sab's main purpose is to distract the hounds with voice commands, horns, whistles, and so on. If all else fails and the hounds close in, if they are able, Sabs usually won't hesitate to go in and grab any animals that they can and take them away to safety. It's worth noting that, whilst hunting dogs are trained to kill, they themselves are victims of the huntsman, just like the horses. Sabs are the first to recognise this, and they will do all they can to show kindness and affection to them too. In a case where dogs aren't heavily involved, the aim of a Sab remains the same: to put the hunters off and help the animals to flee in any way they can, to the point where hunters eventually give in and go home empty-handed. Being an active hunt saboteur certainly isn't for the faint of heart. Not only because you'll be expected to be on your feet, trudging through countryside, come frost, rain, mud or snow, but because of the sights you're likely to endure in the process. Sometimes, heartbreakingly, despite the very best efforts of all Sabs involved, the hunt will succeed in its mission. And seeing a fox, or any other wild animal, being brutally ripped to pieces before your very eyes can have a lasting detrimental effect upon your mental health. And it has to be said, sabbing can be physically dangerous too. You should expect varying degrees of violence and intimidating behaviour from the huntsmen and their supporters. There have been far too many instances of hunt saboteurs being flogged, beaten, stomped or run down, purely because they are obstructing bloodthirsty men and women from playing their vile game. And, thanks to the ongoing prejudice against animal rights activists, little is ever done about it. In truth, the reason most hunt saboteurs cover their face isn't to avoid jail time. It's to conceal their identity from the hunters, who are in the habit of photographing unmasked sabbers and posting their faces online, in the hopes that, if they themselves cannot identify a sab and make their lives difficult, there may be someone else in a sabber's life, for instance a boss or a colleague, who would look negatively on them having such a passion for animal rights. To some, I know this will all sound very off-putting, and admittedly hunt sabbing is one of the more hardcore forms of activism, but that doesn't mean we should shy away from it. Whilst you will never manage to save every single animal, to be out there, doing what you can to save as many innocent lives as possible, is a truly priceless feeling. So for those of you who do feel you have the heart to do such noble work, I would sincerely encourage you to try and do so. But if being out in the fields on the front lines really isn't something you feel you would be able to do, be it for mental or physical reasons, then the good news is there are still numerous ways you can help the Hunt Saboteurs Association, and in some cases from the comfort of your own home. Creating a greater public awareness will always be the next best thing to being an active Sab, because whilst the majority of people within the UK oppose hunting, most equally believe that it no longer goes on. Staging a protest, or organising, or simply volunteering some of your time at an information stall will be hugely beneficial, as it helps get the word out there that things like trail hunting are little more than a cover-up for vicious activity. From a stall, you can hand out leaflets and engage in conversation with those who are interested. You can draw the eye with colourful chalk images, or don an animal onesie for an even bigger impact. You can show the horrendous yet necessary footage captured by the Sabs on either a phone, a tablet, or a television. Better still, you can bake vegan food and provide the printed recipes for people to snapshot and try at home, to further encourage the conversation about all animal rights, not just the rights of wild ones. And if you don't fancy the idea of attending a stall, you could help fundraising by offering trinkets that you no longer want, or that you found or even made especially for your local Sab group auction, like I did with this fox embroidery I recently finished. You could go letterbox leafleting, or you could write to your MP or local newspaper to keep pressure on highlighting the issue. You could always purchase Sab merch for yourself, for your friends or your family, or donate directly to help the cause. It all helps. So whether you're brave, social, crafty, good with words, or in the kitchen, or simply have an eye for finding animal-related trinkets in charity shops, now there is undoubtedly something you can do to help keep the wild animals of Britain safe. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or informative, please be sure to like, share and subscribe, and check out all our other videos. And as always, don't forget to check out the helpful links below for further resources on today's topic, including recipes for my gingerbread fondant foxes and chocolate orange foxtail cupcakes. See you soon.